as I said, I applied after I got out of advanced training. I was ordered to Vietnam. I was transferred to Fort Lewis for transfer overseas. Applied for CO, which took me out of the chain, and went assigned at Fort Lewis for a while, and then for the summer over in Yakima. Then came back to Fort Lewis at the end of the summer, and my application was still pending, and my commanding officer said, said or sent word or something, come to my office. And I came to his office, and he said, your CO's been denied. Here's your orders to Vietnam. These guys are going with you. And there were 2 senior non-commissioned officers to accompany me. And so they took me back over to the overseas replacement station. They took me back to my private space, whatever it was, and got my stuff and took me to the overseas replacement station and started the processing and stuff. And so told him I had to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and climbed out the window and took the bus to Seattle. And so then a couple weeks after that, thereabouts, I turned myself in down at Fort Lewis, and was charged with being AWOL. Actually, the commander of the overseas replacement station offered me an Article 15, which is non-judicial punishment, but you had the choice of demanding a court-martial, and so I demanded a court-martial. And so they put me in the stockade. I was there for a week or so. Wade Carson was there at the time, I remember. Now that you've reminded me. And we were there, we were in the stockade the day of the verdict on the Chicago 7 trials, because then they had the riots in Seattle. It was called TDA the day after. And I remember running upstairs in the stockade to the place where you had to be a good boy to go to tell Wade about it, because I'd heard about it on the radio. At any rate, they kind of did the same thing. They said, okay, we decided we don't want to court-martial you after all. Here's 2 more non-commissioned officers that are going to accompany you all the way to Vietnam, not just to the airplane this time. And the first time it was these kind of older guys, they're, I say older now, but 40s, didn't look particularly in good shape, had on their dress uniforms. This time they gave me these 2, probably 30-year-old E6s in their fatigues that were in shape and carrying weapons. So they were a little harder to get away from. So they took me to the plane, and they said, and there were like 7 people, I believe that's correct, that were accompanying me to the airplane. By then they had gathered quite a crowd. One of whom was a major, and they sent a major along because he was the commanding officer of whatever unit I was in, technically assigned to, so that he said, I'm Major Foscue, I remember his name even. Your superior officer and your commanding officer, and I'm giving you a direct order to get on that airplane. I said, okay. And obviously, at that point, the court-martial that I had been facing for being AWOL had, for all practical purposes, a maximum sentence of 6 months and a bad conduct discharge. And the discharge was actually a positive side as far as I was concerned. The disobeying a direct order had a 5-year sentence. And somewhere in between there was my my tolerance level. So I got on the airplane, and those other two guys got on with me. And then when I got off at just a stopover in Honolulu, they came with me. So I called home and told people where I was, and then went on, and I was there for about a month, and in the meantime had managed to apply for and get an emergency leave, and came home and didn't manage to make the flight back.